We are very, very privileged to have the director and the cast of this incredible film here with us, and we get to talk to them about the process. So I'd like to actually start with the director, Justin Zagri. Justin, what was your inspiration for the film? How did it get started?
As we close out on the brilliant score by Alexander Arnson, who did the entire composition for this.
So, inspiration for making this film was initially that I made The Greater Good, which was a Harry Potter fan film about Dumbledore and Grindelwald when they were teenagers. And that did really well and got a fan base for me. And I decided, well, I'll try and make another one and raise some money. So I did a poll and had a bunch of choices, including the Marauders, and the Marauders was overwhelming what people wanted to see. So I read all the books again and did my research, and one particular moment stood out to me as the inspiration for the story between Snape and the Marauders. And that was that Harry was asking Remus and Sirius why his dad was so mean when he saw him in the worst memory. And they tried to defend him and saying he grew out of it, he became a better person. And when Harry said, well, what about when it came to Snape? And he said, well, he considered Snape to be a special case, and they never really stopped hexing each other, and James didn't tell Lily about it, but he grew out of it. And that's what interested me, is like, what would the final confrontation between Snape and James be like, Snape and the Marauders be like when school's out and the war, they're about to start a war, what would Snape do, try and apologize to Lily for the last time before he goes off to the Death Eaters, or maybe not, he's not sure yet, but of course when he meets Voldemort, there you go. And how does James actually make that final change from a guy who has been maturing, stop hexing kids for fun, but still picking on Snape, to someone who becomes the noble, good man that he was always talked about being? That's what interested me most, so that's where this story came in.
And I think that the movie really delivered that.
Thank you.
And I wanted to hear a little bit from the cast. What was it like? Getting cast and getting the role? What was that process like for you guys?
Nerve-wracking, mostly.
Do you want to start, Mick?
You can start over there.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, definitely use mine.
Okay, cool. No, the process of getting cast and starting this whole adventure was, quite honestly, I didn't believe it when I was first getting the casting notice and going in the room. Like, it just seemed like everybody had the red hair and the green eyes, and I was like, okay, cool, well, this is just another audition, whim ha. I didn't think my accent was good at all. I thought that I sucked. And then I got the call back, and I was like, oh, wait, really? Me? You sure? And then meeting the guys and then seeing everything slowly come together, it just became this bubble that just welled up and became this hot air balloon of, holy crap, this is really happening, this is what? And the more that people got involved and the more fans that I met and the more excited people were about this, I got more excited, and it was this infectious happiness that just led to so many great things, and still does. I mean, we're in Vegas with you guys right now, so I count that as a blessing, hey.
The story I like to tell is that I originally submitted to play Remus Lupin because I didn't think I was cool enough to play Sirius Black. And Justin didn't have me. Then the casting notice went up a second time, and it was like Sirius was still on it. And I was like, okay, I'm not screwing this up again. So I submitted. He invited me in, and I like tried to put together my best like Gary Oldman-esque outfit. And he'd written this little bit of dialogue that was definitely like, Sirius being the cool guy, but there was a moment where he legitimately opened up to James to express like a genuine love for his friend. And I really liked that about him, that there was the cool guy bravado, but there was the layer underneath. And unfortunately that like line didn't make it to the final cut, but it was definitely there in the subtext. And so the process went on. We were at the callbacks, and I wasn't quite sure I had it. And at this point, what Justin decided to do was have the potential Marauders all meet up at his apartment and like talk out a scene and then ad-lib it. And what started off as a 5-minute ad lib ended up being 20 minutes long and it's so unfortunate that neither one of them are here, but Garrett Schweighauser as James and Paul Stanko as Remus Lupin were arguing so well that I was like, I can't contribute to this. They're both making great cases and it's really captivating and I'm just gonna watch it. I was fortunate enough to be cast, and then it became like a whirlwind of pressure after that because I wanted to get this character right, and that was this whole other process. But yeah, this is awesome being here, so it worked out.
I wanted to briefly mention that their improv during their callback and rehearsal was so good that the first 3 minutes of them talking is not in the script. They just came up with a story off the top of their heads that day and ran with it. Up until he says, "You all right, mate?" and says, "Yeah, you don't look so good." That's when the script starts. Everything before that was just them.
So for me, when I first saw the casting notice, I was like, it took me like 2 reads of it to be like, this is Harry Potter Marauders. This is so cool. And I thought about it, I was like, these characters are all too cool for me. I cannot play anything. But I was on set that day working on another show, and there was a girl that was working with me that day, this beautiful redhead, who was talking about the thing. She's like, I'm gonna go for Lily Evans. I was like, let me see if there's anything I can go for in this. And I was like, yeah, I guess I could do Peter. It'd be cool if maybe we worked on another thing together. And I just kind of did it on a whim, and I got an audition. I don't know if she did or not.
To be care.
Yeah. We have Danny now. We win. So I went into the audition, and it went all right, and then I got the callback. And there's another story I like to tell is I was when I got to the callback, the other 3 Marauders were already there. And they were starting just hanging out and talking. And I got there, and they were sitting around the table talking. And I was like, oh, crap, these guys already know each other. They're like the best of friends. I'm not going to fit in at all. Turns out they had just met 3 minutes prior. But I sat down, and everything kind of worked out. And we did this improv, and everything clicked. And since then, it's just been a wonderful process of working with these people where everyone just gets along, everyone agrees, and even Mick.
I almost didn't find out about this project at all. I didn't see the casting notice like everybody else did. Justin had already started auditioning people to play Snape, and no one that he had auditioned for this part was right for it. And he had actually lamented on his Facebook about just like, just saying if there are any actors out there, anybody knows of an actor out there who's competent and looks even remotely like they can play a young Snape, let me know. And a mutual friend of ours tagged me in that. He messaged me on Facebook. I've been approached with fan films before, and usually the thing that comes to mind immediately is somebody shooting something low budget on a handy cam in their garage. It's not this. So when he first sent me the script, I'm just like, okay, I'll give it a chance. I'll read the script. And I read the script, and I'm like, wow, this is actually really, really good. Okay, he's an excellent writer. Let's see if he what else he's done. And I got to watch The Greater Good before that. I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing, and that's that sold me right there. But the script was extremely exciting for me because I grew up with the books. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, was a huge fan of Snape, but this Snape was so wildly different at this point in his life that it was almost getting to explore an entirely new character, because everything we know of Snape and everything we see of Snape in the films as an adult is a direct reflection and a consequence of everything that happens to him in his youth and everything that happens to him in the years that we don't see him, the years prior to Philosopher's Stone. So getting to play with this and getting to try all this new stuff with him, figure out who he was before the events that we all know him for, was a really exciting challenge. So I reminded Justin at the last convention that he never actually told me I got the role, so I'm still waiting to hear. I just kept auditioning with people. I auditioned with 2 Lilies and two Jameses to try it out, and thankfully it ended up being Danny and Garrett, who I got to be in the film with, and we ended up rolling from there. But it was an amazing process all the way through, and very rewarding considering what the pre-production was of even getting this thing off the ground.
Yeah.
And what about when the film was actually released? What was your reaction to actually seeing it? I understand you guys had a party at Justin's, right? And what was it like actually seeing the whole piece come together?
You guys can see exactly what we thought of the film on YouTube because we recorded our reactions to seeing the film for the first time, and it's basically 26 minutes straight of us screaming
And various hand gestures of
possibly peeing a little bit.
It was fantastic. We did our best to kind of swear off like watching any footage, just because I don't know. We tried. We decided to make this pact, like, okay, we won't like watch cuts as they're being made or teasers or something like that. But I remember Justin was over. He's like, hey guys, this is this really cool shot I want to share with you. Like, it wasn't supposed to happen. It was this shot like after Snape has his like raw magic moment and blows up. He turns to the camera and the light just hit him and the wind was just right. And we were like, I was jumping up and down because I couldn't believe how good a shot that was. And it was totally unplanned.
That's what Kevin does. He jumps around and he runs back and forth across the room.
Because it was like miracle
giddy as a
of
schoolboy.
filmmaking. And then, yeah, so as it goes on, like every step of the process, I've never been anything close to this good. And sorry, other people I've worked with.
Well, I mean, we were shocked continuously, you know, at how everybody on this production put everything they had into it. I mean, I teared up when we actually, you know, most of what the music you hear was recorded in Alex's house, except for the very end score. Which was recorded by what a
65-piece orchestra in
65-piece
Budapest,
live orchestra
Hungary.
in Budapest. And when they recorded that, they did it live. So we actually got to listen to a stream of it where we're hearing them practice and play the chords and realizing that they're playing our music.
Yeah.
Brought tears to my eyes.
And
to it.
Every step of this process, because we started an Indiegogo and it didn't work out, and we had a Kickstarter and that one worked out far greater than we could have hoped. And like everything about it, my imagination never let me think that it would be such a success. And on top of that, Justin would be like, hey, so we got an orchestra to record our score. When was that on the table? Like,
It wasn't until Alex was like, hey, I can do this thing. And
the CGI rat's ready. We're like, I thought you said we couldn't pull that off. Like everything.
We couldn't until he
was
proved he
a
could.
surprise and a miracle of filmmaking because it came together so well purely out of the love of the work and the love of Harry Potter.
Yes.
Like everyone sacrificed so much to get this done, and it came out like.
That is this movie is the result, literally, of extremely passionate people putting their time, effort, and money into this film. This film exists not because some studio said it should. In fact, this studio said, please don't raise any more money. But fans donated money. Fans shared it with everyone they could. Fans watched it and loved it and shared it with other people.
Fans showed up to set.
Fans showed up to set. Like all the extras were fans, and they had their own costumes. We didn't have to supply their wardrobe. Fans worked on the visual effects, and like every time I said, I don't know if we could do this, they would figure it out for me. They would just figure it out. The rat thing wasn't supposed to happen. Fiendfire turned out better than I could have imagined. And the DP and the camera crew just put their A game into it because that's what they do.
And the poster. Oh,
yeah, we had a woman. I put out an art contest for an art contest for art, and whoever wins, no matter where you live, gets to have a cameo in the film as one of the paintings. So two people, one was in Romania, the other was in Oregon. One, but this other woman I found randomly this beautiful poster artwork because I put out the original photos of the Kickstarter just on Dropbox for anyone to use. And she created this absolutely amazing stuff that reminded me of the Deathly Hallows with the professionalism of and I just finally found her and said, do you want to make the real posters? Do you want to make the official posters? And she said yes. So she made 2 one-sheets and a big Struzen-style one-sheet and all of the character posters, and they all look beautiful and amazing.
We arranged an entire other shooting day and just said, take over.
Yeah. Because she was that talented. So extremely talented people put so much time and energy and money into this, and that's why this exists.
And I think this is a testament to just what this franchise does. Because the thing is, everyone who worked on this production is a professional. We're all doing this professionally. We're all in this in this industry doing what we do in this film for other projects, but we're also all enormous fans of the Harry Potter universe. I mean, the reason that we're doing what we do, and the reason that we got into this industry and have dedicated all of our time to the craft that we've dedicated ourselves to, is because we all wanted to make movies like this. And that's what it came down to for us, is that the opportunity to make a film like this is the entire reason that we even started pursuing what we're doing now. So this wasn't just an opportunity to get ourselves out there, but to show this is why we do what we do. These are the sort of stories we want to tell, the sort of characters we want to explore, and that was pretty much across the board with everybody who worked on this, and from every aspect of the film. This is why we do what we do.
It's almost like we got to live out the Deathly Hallows, because just like in the books or the movies, the entire world, the entire magical community uniting to create something beautiful and to fight hatred with love, we now have all of these wonderful Harry Potter fans who stood behind this film and supported it in every way they could and contributed every skill that they had or everything that they could possibly bring to this film. And that's why Harry Potter fans are amazing, and that's why you guys are amazing.
Thank you guys. We really, really, really appreciate your support. The last thing I was going to mention is to actually answer your question. Is we did an official premiere screening at a 400-seat theater, sold it out double time, and just got to listen and watch people's reactions. And there was so high energy, and people laughed and they like clapped, and it was just the greatest experience ever. So go make a movie and have an audience watch it. It's great.
Yeah, none of it where I thought it would happen too. That was
same with this one. Like, you guys laughed in certain places, you guys clapped in other places. I'm like, oh.
It's always different responses too. That's what's so exciting about the audience, is that certain jokes will strike with an audience, certain parts will get different reactions. So it's, even though we've watched this with so many different audiences, it's a new experience every time for us, because everyone's different. Everyone has a different connection and a different response to certain scenes, which is always fun to find out what's going to hit what group.
Do you have any questions? Anybody? No? Oh, one right there. Go ahead. 4 days of shooting, 1 year of prep, 1 year of post-production, 4 days of shooting.
Which was one day in the bar scene for all the interior shots that we see there for the bookends of the film, and then 3 glorious nights filming from like 5 p.m. to 6 a.m., something like that.
2 glorious nights and one
really
night
glorious with all the rain.
Justin would have pulled his hair out.
Yeah, we're all filming in California. This is filmed in Los Angeles, which, as you know, is in a drought. Has been in a drought for a little while. So, of course, as the fates would have it, the one night we get of rain, and a torrential rainstorm,
torrential downpour on the last day of shooting.
On the last day of shooting, the most climactic moment of shooting, which is like the big end, that big end sequence, and that's when it decides to rain. So
you can see it a little bit.
And keep in mind, like, the way our budget is stretched out for this film, like, we don't have the option of packing up and coming back another day. It's like we either get this shot and we get it this night, or the film
it's over.
Doesn't happen.
We had already had to relocate.
Yeah.
Like, we had already gone further in our budget than we should have, because we had to find a brand new venue, because like they double booked or something.
Yeah,
for the
don't
forest.
trust LA permits department. Just terrible.
Consequently, though, by having the rain in the background, it gave this really cool effect. As you can see when Snape's walking towards James, you can see his breath. There's like a certain texture to the air. It's like you can't get that from a smoke machine. That was the weather, man. The reason why our hair's all poofy is because the weather, which just makes us look tired. It was
and
great.
we're from the 70s, which is the goal.
And we're from the 70s.
And it was cold outside, and my character's costume didn't include a jacket.
The 4th day of shooting was the pickup day outside the bar. We had to go back and to do all the exterior shot, that one exterior shot with the bar, with all our cameos, but that was its own day. It was just for that one shot.
Yeah, it was just one shot. It was just this little girl walking by saying, "Professor Slughorn, make a drinking solution." It made Amelia 3 feet tall. That was a girl whose father donated enough money to allow a cameo in the film. And my favorite part of this story is that everything about that shot was deleted except for the characters and replaced with a matte painting. That matte painting was designed by a gentleman named Brian Morton. Brian Morton created the official poster for Star Wars Episode 7.
It was funny because like Justin's like, hey, so how's that matte painting coming? I really need it for the trailer. Like, and he's like, oh, I'm working on this other project. Yeah, okay, all right, other project, sure, but yeah, I need you on my movie. And then we found out the other project was Star Wars. So it's like, whoops.
So I guess if we're gonna get bumped, I guess, yeah.
Star Wars.
You got a question?
Again, like I've been reading the books since like I still have my first editions of every single one of the books as they came out. You know, I remember Christmas 1999 was when my dad bought me Sorcerer's Stone out here, and I still have it. I still have it like signed out, wish me a Merry Christmas. I was like, I think 10 or 11 years old when I got that, but they are all still proudly sitting on my shelf, and I devoured them one by one. Like I once I got the book in my hand, I didn't leave my room until I was done with it. I literally ate the book.
It's not too dissimilar for me. I don't remember if I ever ate in the subsequent days after any of the books came out, because I was too busy just reading until it was done. I went as far as to destroy my high school graduation robes to make Quidditch robes for the 7th book coming out.
That's a new one.
Kevin and I got on board in adulthood. High five.
Yeah, I hate answering this question because like there were so many missed opportunities. Like I went to a gifted school that prided itself on being ahead of everybody else at the reading level. So like we didn't know about Harry Potter because it wasn't advanced enough. I'm angry. I left that school. I hate that school. So like I remember my mother offering it to my brother, and so I had this terrible perception that it was like, oh, this is a cute little kid's book. Like it's not what I need to be focusing on. And honestly, that school made me hate reading too. So anyway. So I just kept going through life, and like and more and more of my friends were getting into it, but I just didn't get it yet. I've never told anyone this. I was in line at the midnight release of Half-Blood Prince dressed as Snape because my friends asked me to do it, but I had no idea what any of this was.
Dun dun dun.
Oh my God.
And then it got spoiled, and I'm like, well, now I'm never gonna read it. So it wasn't until a friend of mine took me to the theme park in Orlando and like showed me, like basically gave me the Potter experience. He was like, this is Diagon Alley. And I was like, I get it now. I get it. And I spent years after trying to catch up in the worst order possible, but like I was just absorbing as much of it as it was coming at me until I finally
Did you see
caught up.
the comic of Deadpool sitting in line to get the Half-Blood Prince novel? Yeah. He's a Hufflepuff, and so are you.
I don't think he's a Hufflepuff. I knew he was going to be a Hufflepuff, but I don't agree with it. I saw that coming, but I was like,
he's the most sociable. Yeah. Anyways,
he's so Gryffindor.
My girlfriend's the producer. We're reading the books again, and we read a chapter or two every night before we go to bed. So we love that. We love those books.
You got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This guy right here.
No. Thank you.
Kevin Allen.
Little known fact is that Kevin Allen is also a professional pirate. So we definitely had some experience on our side for at least half the fight before we just start waving our wands like crazy.
Okay. I did not choreograph the entire fight. Justin had a lot of ideas that he wanted to incorporate into the duel, especially a lot of those like special moments with things like the rocks and the arrows. But getting up to that was kind of a challenge because he didn't know how to start it off. So he knew I had experience choreographing sword fights for this pirate troupe that I'm growing my beard out for right now. So I worked with Mick and Garrett and kind of like built a fight for them, and then they took their own approach to it, which was great because Mick is really fluid with his movements like a snake, and Garrett was very headstrong like a lion, and it just worked out perfectly. And then as we started adding more and more of the characters, it became less specific blocking and more like, we just need you to be placed here and here. We worked it out in the park with the gentleman from your first film.
Chris Kramer, who played Dumbledore, helped us through some of the stunt work because there was a couple of throws and jumps, and he just helped us through that, and that's what Chris does now professionally. He's a producer for indie feature films, and he's a stuntman.
And by the time that Peter joins the fray and it's 4-on-1, like it was far too much to choreograph. So basically everyone just waved their wands and did their best to imagine and dip and dodge accordingly. And then our special effects team are the ones who made it look like we all knew what we were doing.
Which we also realized after the fact that every single time we throw our wrist out was another special effect that somebody had to add in. So we didn't realize that it's just cha-ching, 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 cha-ching.
It was especially worrisome at the end when it was 4-on-1 and he was surrounding them. So he had to look like he could try to get where he was going, which was also the point, because it's like when he's 4-on-1, he's being overwhelmed, but he can see what's coming at him. So he knows more spells than they do. That was established at the very beginning of the film. So anything he can see coming, he can handle. But now he can't see it, and that's why he's losing. And I was worried that wouldn't turn out, but the visual effects guy handed me that one shot of where it pulls back away from Remus and then shows all 4 of them, and then makes it so all 4 Marauders fire a spell at once, and he redirects them into the air and makes an explosion. I'm like, oh my God. He took what I thought was going to look like crap and made it much better in a way that I didn't ask him to do. Yeah. That's, again, like talented people who were just passionate about it.
In short, people who made us look much cooler than we actually were.
That's what film is. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these are all professional actors. That's what they do.
Forever and ever. For like super evers.
We're kidding.
So I left that school, and I was invited to leave that school because I just gave up. I just stopped caring, and then I had to move to a different school in my district, which happened to be an arts magnet. They had a theater program, and I was like, well, I was thinking about joining the drama club at the old place, so I'll try this one out. Completely unaware of I came into a class of 100 who all had been doing theater since they were like yay high, and they came from theater families, and I was completely clueless, which helped me get in because I didn't make myself nervous about it. So I got involved in theater, and then fell in love with that. Went to college, got involved with the film department there, fell in love with that, and realized that's what I wanted to do. But I look back on old videos of myself, like when I was a kid in the camera, and I was like, I was always meant to be an actor. I had no idea until halfway through college.
The different thing for me on this film, this is what was a new experience for me, was that I'd done a lot of film and TV projects before this one. This is one of the very first projects in which you can actually recognize who I am. And reason for that is that every other film and TV project I've done before this, I've had a good part in, but I'm always covered in heavy prosthetic makeup. I'm always playing characters that aren't human, monsters, creatures, demons. Before I shoot, I'm in a makeup chair from anywhere from 3 to 5 hours. So this is the first time I'm seeing myself on film in a role like this, where I'm not covered in foam latex and silicone and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. So even now, the projects I have coming out are still heavy prosthetic roles. Like the show I have coming out this fall, which is called Stand Against Evil. It's going to be on IFC. I'm 2 different characters on that, but I can do that because I look completely different and am completely covered in prosthetic makeup. So
You don't look like a spider person.
I don't look like a spider person.
This film you played against a person in prosthetic makeup.
Exactly. That was a very surreal experience, sitting across from Clayton, who played Voldemort, and being the one who wasn't covered in prosthetics. That was a new experience right there.
I came from. It's funny. He's talking about the theater families from his school. I'm from the same area in Florida where Kevin is, even though we never knew each other. But I was at one of the local theater families that was there, and that's what I grew up into. So I did theater my whole life, and then at some point I was like, well, I'd like to do this, but I'd probably make money doing it at some point. So I moved into film and TV acting, and so that's what I do now.
I started out modeling when I was in my late teens, and somebody told me I was tall, go to an agency. I was like, cool, that sounds like a great idea. So I did that for a long time. I lived in Utah, did as much as I could there. Utah's a smaller market, obviously, than places like LA or Vegas or things like that. So I did as much as I could there, and I was like, okay, well, what's next? Acting? Yeah, that sounds great, cool. So I started doing a few acting things in Utah as well, and then also reached the most of my potential there, so then I hijacked it out to LA. And it's been a whirlwind ever since. I still do modeling and things like that, and it's kind of a fallback, and it's my first love, but ultimately that is a fading thing. It's more of a youthful aspiration, and acting is something for me that translates very well from camera to video. So that's my long-term plan.
So I'm sure many of our audience members would love to touch base with you guys afterwards. So if you would let people know where they can find you on social media or maybe at the con today.
All my social media is J Zagri, J-Z-A-G-R-I. Facebook, J Zagri, Justin Zagri, JustinZagri.com, SnapeMaraudersFilm.com for anything you want to know about the film, and BroadStrokesProductions.com for all my films.
I am at DannyJ.com, and I also have Facebook and Instagram as Danny.J. Super simple.
You can find me at Facebook at Kevin Allen Face, like that, facebook.com/Kevin Allen Face. My Twitter is Kevin Allen Says. I'm on a lot of other stuff, but reach out to me. I'll totally write back.
You can find me on Facebook at just Zachary David. Zachary David, not just Zachary David. Anyhow, my name. And also, I have a Twitter where I make jokes and clever musings. It's at My Work Here Is Dumb, D-U-M, because you only have so many character limit.
And you can find updates about my stuff on Facebook at facebook.com/official Mick Ignis, on Instagram as Mick Ignis, one word, and on Twitter as Ignis Twote.
All right, thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Yeah.